Hey, what is up, fellow raiders? This is Vulcan Dan, and in today's Raid Shadow Legends video, we are going to talk about artifacts. Which ones to keep, which ones to sell, which ones to level up. Alright, so this video is more for the beginner, for those players who are new to Raid, who are just starting to understand how gear works in Raid. And of course, if you are a new player in Raid, make sure to subscribe to this channel because I upload Raid videos every single day, and along with that, a lot of beginner guides and free-to-play friendly guides. Alright, so number one thing that you have to remember in gear in Raid is that you have to prioritize the number of stars over rarity. So we have here, for example, I have a 6-star weapon piece here, and that's also a legendary, but maybe you're just starting out in Raid and you're holding on to a 4-star piece that is legendary. All right, so maybe your mindset is that if it's a legendary piece, you have to keep it, you have to level it up, you have to use that because of course it's legendary. But in Raid, if it's a 4-star piece, you're not going to get a lot of value from that over something that's a 5-star or a 6-star, which is the maximum like this one. So yes, so prioritize 5 or 6-star gear. Don't get too attached to those 4-star gear, even if it's legendary, unless it's, you know, really good, like it had 4 rolls in speed, you know, like for example, you have speed there and then it rolled 4 times. That's very rare. Maybe you want to use that, but for the most part, you would really want to keep 5 or 6-star gear, and eventually when you get to end game, just keep 6-star gear. All right, so that's number 1, stars over rarity. Number 2 is that flat stats. You don't want to keep flat stats. Flat stats is like, for example, so we have the filter here. Let me move my, all right, so there you go. Move myself here. All right, so we have here HP percent, attack percent, defense, and defense percent. All right, so for the main stat, so let's go for gauntlets, chest piece, and boots. Because of course the top 3 pieces here, the weapon, the helm, and the shield, those will always have the same main stat, which is attack for weapon, defense, HP for helm, and defense for the shield. But for these 3 at the bottom, you will have a variety of different primary stats, and you do not want these flat stats. So these HP, attack, and defense. And as you can see, I don't have a single piece of gear that has a flat stat HP, flat stat attack, or flat stat defense. You want to get this this percentage stats. Those really give you more bang for your buck. All right, so of course, maybe you're holding on to this really good, maybe you found a 6-star piece that's maybe flat HP as its main stat. Yeah, you're really not going to get much value out of that, even if it has good substats, you know. So you're going to have to spend some silver in order to upgrade that, and your silver is better off used for these HP percent, attack percent, or defense percent. All right, so no flat stats for the main stat, and also for the substats as well. Now, of course, for the substats, those are more difficult because maybe you have a good main stat, like for example, let's see. Let's take a look at this one. All right, here. So I have speed boots here, which is very good, but I do have attack percent, crit rate, and accuracy, but I do have a flat stat HP. But I still decided to keep this one because it's very difficult to get speed boots in Raid. So all right, so, but of course, as much as possible, you would want to avoid flat stats. So if you got a piece that has HP flat stat, defense flat stat, and maybe attack flat stat, then sell that piece. You're not going to get good value out of that. But 1 flat stat is maybe okay if the other 3 are decent. All right, so that's number 2, flat stats. Avoid them as much as you can. Number 3 is for your gloves, chest, and your boots. For your gloves, for the most part, you want crit rate gloves at the beginning. When you're towards end game, you might want to go for crit damage gloves for your damage dealers. But of course, if you want to go for crit damage gloves, make sure that you have enough crit rate, because you would want to have 100% or close to 100% crit rate, and which is that is very difficult to achieve. So that's more towards the end game. But if you're in the early game, go for more of a crit rate build. So get crit rate gloves, because that's the only piece that can get crit rate as its main stat. You can't get that from your weapon, your helm, your shield, your chest piece, and your boots. Only your gloves can have crit rate as its primary stat. And for your chest, of course, get attack percentage if you're an attacker, HP percentage, or defense percentage. It really depends on the champion. You can also put an HP percent or defense percent chest on your attacker if you're maybe wanting to keep that champion alive a lot longer. Maybe it's for your clan boss team, and you want, of course, to have more turns. So yeah, so a defense percent chest might work there. But for your boots, for the most part, especially in the really early game, always get speed boots. So yeah, so boots are actually the most difficult thing to get in raid, because of course you're limited to just speed. Towards the end game, you can experiment around with attack percentage boots, of course, if you really want to crank out the attack from a certain champion. But for the most part, you do want speed boots. All right, so that's number 3. Number 4 is for these top 3 pieces here, your weapon, your helm, and your shield. You want to be a little more selective with those, because of course here for the bottom 3, you want to be very particular with its primary stat. But for the top piece, these will always be attack, this one will always be HP, and this one will always be defense. So you're just worried about the substats here, so you can be a little more particular about this one. For example, going back to the boots, I don't mind that this one had a flat stat HP, because the rest are fine, and of course speed is very difficult to get. But for this one, if you get a lot of flat stats on your weapon, helm, or shield, you might want to sell that piece, because it's not going to give much value. So be more particular about these top 3 pieces here. So always go for either speed, accuracy, crit rate, crit damage, maybe attack percentage, if it's a damage dealing piece. All right, so that's number 4, and that ties into my last point, which is number 5. Match the set with the stats. So this one, for example, this one is a crit rate set. So of course, if you have a crit rate gear, then you're probably going to put it in someone that cranks out a lot of damage. So you want more speed, right? You want more crit rate, you want more crit damage, and this one has attack, and it's a 6-star piece. So this one is a very good piece right here. We have a cruel set here. So of course, cruel has 15% attack and ignores 5% of enemy defense if you have 2 of those. So of course, you want more speed, you want more attack, you want more crit, which we do have here. This one has HP and it double rolled HP, but that's fine. At least it's a percent and not a flat stat. But yes, you do want speed, attack, crit. Make sure it matches that. So for example, you have a cruel piece. So if it's a plus 15% attack, but then its substat is you have HP, defense, resistance, no crit rate, no crit damage, then you might want to sell that, because of course it does not match what the gear is all about. Another example, let's take a look at my defense gear right here. So yeah, so we have crit rate, crit damage, accuracy. We have here, so you would want to match the substats with what the set is all about. So of course, you want more defensive base, so you want defense percentage, you want even HP percentage for this one, because of course both of those are defensive kind of substats. So yeah, so if you have something like attack on a defense set, that's not going to be much use. So right here I have gloves, defense percent gloves, All right, I have crit rate gloves with speed and HP, so that is fine. And of course, I have an HP percent on the defense set, although the substats are not so good. But yeah, so I might sell this soon. I'm just keeping it just in case. So yeah, so make sure, of course, if you're like for here, my speed boots for my defense gear, I don't have anyone with attack, because having an attack stat on a defense champion for the most part does not do anything if their damage is based on defense. And same goes with those HP based champion, wherein their damage is based on HP. All right, so that is it. So yeah, so I hope you found this helpful. Those are just 5 points that I want to share with you if you're trying to figure out how gear works in Raid. And if you have any questions about gear, about stats, please feel free to put them in the comment section down below, and I will be glad to help you out. All right, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one.